Yujin, I'd like to believe in God, but religion gets in the way. When I see all the different religions so contradictory to one another, it makes me want to just eliminate the whole lot. Then I hear about this pluralistic hypothesis that says that each of the religions are sensing the transcendental, the ultimate, and that they're seeing it differently through their own cultures. And so each of them are relating to what's really real. Is that a good argument?
So the pluralistic hypothesis says that there is only one thing, one supernatural entity, which is sometimes called the real with a capital R. And different religions, they seem to be talking about completely different things, but actually they're talking about the exact same thing, the real. So Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, they all talk about the exact same thing ultimately, because the real is a very elusive existence. And sometimes it's called ineffable or transcategorial. We can't really capture its essence. So all of these religions can be construed as people's attempt to understand this mysterious supernatural existence. And people often use this kind of hypothesis to have a dialogue between different religions. So maybe once we understand that they're all talking about the same thing, we can somehow understand different religion better. Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, and so on, they seem to be talking about something completely different. But actually, according to the pluralistic hypothesis, they are all talking about the same thing, the real. And I think there's something right about this hypothesis, but there is something wrong as well. What is right about it is that, after all, religions are religions. So they are interested in more or less the same thing. They're interested in the existence of some supernatural entity and the meaning of life, the origin of morality, and so on. So in a way, in one sense, they talk about the same thing. But if we take their claims very seriously, if we construe their religious claims as metaphysical or ontological claims, we cannot say that they talk about the exact same thing. For example, Buddhism says that there is no God. Hinduism says that there are many gods. And Christianity says there is one God. So they cannot be all true. I mean, it is possible that all of them are false, but it cannot be true that all of them are true.
So where does that leave us? I mean, could it be that there is some real that is transcendental in which those three radically opposed concepts apply? It would seem that if there is a real, that even the concept of God, it can't be the lowest common denominator. Isn't that what we're doing? We're just looking for the lowest common denominator?
The real, I mean, if there is the real, that should be beyond our imagination. So you might think that it's impossible to grasp it or describe it. But still, we want to say something about it. And we can say something about it.
What can we say?
For example, the real is ultimate reality, or it's the greatest possible being. We can describe this existence somehow. I mean, we can describe anything in any way.
But that when you describe anything in any way, that's like describing nothing. And it sounds like it makes everybody feel good to have all the religions be somewhat true, and we all can get along together. I'm happy. I'd like everybody to get along together. But if one wants to access ultimate truth, what's really real in itself, it would seem that the contradictions overwhelm any sort of commonality.
I want to think that philosophy can help here. So when different religions make conflicting claims, we can do metaphysics, or we can appeal to science as well, and we can find out which claim is more plausible than the other. Maybe it's not impossible to fully understand what the real is, but we can still progress our knowledge of the real.
And so what do you do with one God, many gods, and no God?
We have to start the definition of the real. If you regard the real as the greatest possible being, then probably there is only one real.
Okay, but that real may not have the personal characteristics that the Judeo-Christian Islamic God would have. That's not a common denominator.
Here we have to provide arguments for and against the existence of a personal God, whether the greatest possible being has to be a personal being or a non-personal being. Maybe a non-personal being is greater than a personal being. In that case, we'd be inclined to accept the non-personal concept of God. But maybe you have a better argument to show that the real has to be personal.
So in that sense, if you begin with this, what I'd call lowest common denominator, but other people may want to call the highest common denominator, the real, this transcendental ultimate being, we can then use analytic techniques and metaphysics to try to adjudicate, to judge between these different expressions of it?
That's right, yeah. Maybe that's not the best way to approach religions, because religions are not supposed to make serious, rigorous metaphysical claims. But if you want to construe religious claims as ontological claims, then we have to do metaphysics. Otherwise, we cannot grasp exactly what the real is. We cannot just stipulate or imagine what this being is.
You know, if I like that or you like that, that may be true, but I can't imagine any of the religions that I've ever heard of liking that.
Liking what?
Putting themselves to the test of your metaphysics.
That's right. So that just means that we shouldn't take religious claims too seriously, because they're not doing science, they're not doing philosophy. But if we want to construe religious claims as claims about the world or existence or ultimate reality, then it's unavoidable to do metaphysics. And I think that's why theists and atheists, they talk about philosophical arguments.